Okay, so let us start with where we left. Here, Asim is asking from the LS group that I am a bit confused about how to study perspectives in human geography. I think I have made it very quite clear that perspectives in human geography, it is a topic of confusion. There is no doubt about that, because it is too philosophical. That is why I spent so much time on uh, building the foundations of the topic. It took us around 4 or 5 lectures, and despite that, I think we were able to build a good foundations of how to go about this topic. And what we studied in 4 or 5 lectures initially, none of it was mentioned directly in the syllabus. And what we did was, but we still studied because that is what is necessary. And now, topic wise, we are taking, and in each of these topics, now we are just studying it from how, if they are being asked in the exam, how we will be writing. So I am exactly not able to get what is the confusion about a scene. Confusion might be because you must not have seen the previous year questions. So if you look into the previous year questions, you will be like, you'll understand how to study that. Okay, so my advice is that you look into the previous year questions, you will basically understand. And again, I am saying that what we have given you as the content, that is enough. What I am talking in the class, that is enough. You look into the previous year questions and you will basically understand. Okay. Can we write in criticism of new environmental determinism that it does not consider cultural factors? Yes, that affect human behavior. Yes, you can write it separately if you want, but we already talked about that. It is mechanistic in nature and all those things. Most of the criticism was related with that only. So it is the possibilistic criticism, no doubt. You can definitely, if you want to specifically mention the role of culture, etc., you can do that. No problem. ठीक है. एक confusion तुम लोगों को फालतू में था. I was just looking into the group talk, and I had talked about that how, in a way, I talked about that Wittelsey's approach was a mixture of हार्टशॉन एंड सॉयर्स अप्रोच. तो उसमें क्या मुझे समझ में नहीं आया कि क्या प्रॉब्लम है. विटलसे, Hartshorn's approach was chorology, but he was using areal. He was using environmental determinism. So that is one thing. And Sawyer's approach was landscape approach, plus he was using possibilism. So Whittlesey इसको नहीं लिया. He didn't took this. He took this chorology, which was essentially a partial chorology. पूरी तरह से chorology नहीं लिया, but it was partial chorology, and he used possibilism. So क्या प्रॉब्लम है? What is the problem in understanding this concept? तुम लोगों को फालतू में ओवर थिंक करना होता है and you complicate simple concepts. Is it clear now? Okay. Development of cultural determinism. We will start with Sawyer, then quantitative revolution, and then Marxist. It is not, yaar. How it is partial chorology? Chorology is something where you don't have given boundaries. You arrive at boundaries of a region. And in landscape approach, there is already given boundaries. Landscape approach is more like the objective view of regions, and chorological approach is more subjective view of regions. Okay. You have to write about cultural determinism. We start with Sawyer and then quantitative revolution and then Marxism. When you have to write about cultural determinism, you basically focus upon the Sawyer's approach, because sometimes it is more like the literal meaning and something which is more like essence of the question. So when cultural determinism is asked, you mostly focus 70-80% of your answer on Sawyer's approach, and others you can just give a passing reference. Okay. Okay. So here, coming back, question number 1, critically analyze possibilistic approach. I have already talked about this. So ये हम कर चुके हैं. क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 करते हैं. डाइकोटॉमी बिटवीन डिटर्मिनिज्म एंड पॉसिबिलिज्म इज रियल. कमेंट. इज रियल. कमेंट. सो इसको भी हमने ऑलरेडी बात तो कर लिया है, बट जस्ट लेट अस से हाउ वी हैव टू राइट. अब मैंने यहाँ पे अनरियल लिखवा दिया है. इन दिस आंसर वन आंसर इज देयर विच वॉज रिटन बाय मी. So I'm just changing the words, nothing else. So here you see how it is written. During the early modern period, the dichotomy between the paradigms of determinism and possibilism dominated the intellectual sphere of geography. So first introduction, short introduction and not too much long. Then what I will do, I will talk about how determinism and possibilism are different. I have already talked about how answers of this should be written. You will write an introduction depending upon the question. Then when you are writing the main body, the main body should have 3 parts. One, where you will write the differences which are there. Second, you will try to show how they are. Differences means you will try to show the dichotomy. Then you will talk about that despite the differences there are some common points, or they didn't reject the other thing, that is dualism. And if there is a situation possible, you will also talk about synthesis, and then you can write your conclusion. So this should be the structure of the answer. So अब इसको fit करते हैं. First I already talked about introduction. So here first I am starting with determinism. Determinism refers to a viewpoint which believes in the absence of human free will. Human activities are determined by nature according to it. This viewpoint was essentially substantiated in the new determinism or scientific determinism as expressed by Ratzel in his Anthropogeography Volume 1. It was given more extreme position in the environmental determinism of sample. According to her, environment controls all aspects of human life, including the physiological characteristics, psychological traits, economic and social development, as well as movement of the people. अब देखो मैंने क्या किया इस आंसर में. I didn't have space to explain all these what is environmental determinism, so I wrote some keywords. So हमने जो keywords पढ़े थे, all those 4 keywords I have written here, and it is enough to explain what is environmental determinism. So बस, not more than that. ठीक है, not more than that. Then moving on, you next point you write about possibilism. So I'll say, on the other hand, possibilism is a viewpoint that physical environment. अब देखो एक और चीज you can understand that there are some words which provide the linkage between. No, it is not from the booklet. It is not from the booklet. It is a separate answer which I give in 500 plus. So इसको मैं करवा दूंगा तुम लोगों के लिए भी अपलोड. Okay, some words provide linkage between the answers. So suppose I wouldn't have written on the other hand and directly started with possibilism from here. Tell me, wouldn't my third paragraph look very separate from the second paragraph? Yes or no? I think it would look very separated from, mechanically different from the second paragraph, the determinism point. But as I just wrote, on the other hand, possibilism is a viewpoint that physical environment tends to provide opportunity for a range of possible human responses, and people have considerable discretion to choose between them depending upon their creative genius and technological tools. It was developed by French school of thought led by Vidal de Lablache, Jean Brunes, Lucien Febvre. This possibilism philosophy reached extremes in economic determinism of the Russian school, which believed that human activities can be explained with respect to economic needs and aspirations. It was also expressed in the cultural determinism of views of Carl Sawyer, which saw man as ultimate agent of change on the earth surface. ठीक है. So this 2 पैराग्राफ लिखे मैंने, and I have completed my here introduction कर लिया and differences, dichotomous part बता दिया. Now coming to the dualism part. See how to write. On the surface, the contrast between these two doctrines seems stark, and they stand in direct contrast to each other. Full stop. But when original texts are read, यहाँ पे कॉमा होना चाहिए था, it quickly becomes clear that such a theoretical bifurcation is sustainable only insofar as these are treated as ideal types. So I am trying to say that it is mostly a theoretical bifurcation. Figures widely regarded as paradigm cases actually displayed greater ambivalence and conceptual nuance than it is actually acknowledged. ठीक है. So many just writers have done what? To prove their point, they are saying that Semple was saying only about determinism, just to prove their point. But in reality, if you read their whole text, it becomes clear that they stood for both. They recognized both, although they favored one over the other. But they never said that the other is wrong. Okay? So I have talked about this. I'll give some examples to prove. For example, hardcore determinist like Semple could also speak of the cultural persistence of racial types in radically different environmental milieu. such as the Anglo-Saxons of the Kentucky mountains, who displayed what she calls inextinguishable excellence. So एक डिटर्मिनिज्म के हार्डकोर डिटर्मिनिज्म का राइटर का एग्जाम्पल दे दिया, ठीक है. So Semple was one of them. I could have given example of Ratzel. We have already talked about how his writing was not definitive, it was just suggestive. देखा है हमने already. Similarly, founder of possibilism Vidal was convinced that genera divi were themselves reflective of nature even as they transformed it. He always conceived human geography as a natural, not as a social science. ठीक है. So that is the thing. Then such a convergence between the determinism and possibilism is more clearly reflected in the idea of stop and go determinism of Taylor. So हमने क्या किया इस आंसर में? We have also talked about dualism. Now here there is opportunity to write about synthesis, so I will not miss that opportunity. Such a convergence between determinism and possibilism is more clearly reflected in the idea of stop and go determinism of Taylor, in which man as an agent of change within a permissible limit of environment. Also in the probabilistic view of O.H.K. Spate, which believes that some possibilities are more probable than the others. ठीक है. So what I did, I wrote one paragraph also on the synthesis, and finally the conclusion part. Thus, dichotomy between determinism and possibilism is more conceptual than real. Its primary significance has been in clearing the air for adoption of a clear methodology in geography. It also serves as a clear reminder that both viewpoints have their own pros and cons. Excess of one thus can lead to reactions from the other. ठीक है. So are we clear about this? How to write? Basically, this is the framework which can be used at several places. ठीक है. When will you complete this topic? We are trying our best. Some possibilities are more probable than the others. Again, it is a very subjective viewpoint. When O.H.K. Spate says that some possibilities are more probable than the others, because what might look today as not possible might become possible in the future. ठीक है, might become possible in the future. Like for example, you take the case of medicine, and if you talk about medicine, can we say that the science of medical science is also not a complete science? Same medicine can have variable impact on different individuals. Yes or no? Some people, same medicine can have impact, others it may not have impact, or can have only partial impact. ठीक है. So there again the chance or probability factor creeps in. Today we are talking about a chance or probability. Maybe when medical science in future is more developed, we will know why it is not working on some and working on others. You know, already so much research in the genetic technology is already taking place. Okay, moving on to next dichotomy, that is physical versus human geography. ठीक है. And I will first do what? Yes, about HIV vaccine, number of things. Yes, that is Kentucky mountains, Appalachians. ठीक है, फिजिकल वर्सेस ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी. Now I will explain first. यार इतना छोटा छोटा चीज़ों के लिए क्यों, मतलब बीच में वाई डू यू पीपल इंटरप्ट इन द क्लास. Find it on Google. Kanat irrigation, if it is developed in Israel, definitely the culture will diffuse to Iran as well. It is but obvious. Okay, please ask questions related with the topic. फालतू में if you have to ask, there is a telegram number, उस पे पूछा करो. Okay, so we are talking about physical and human geography dichotomy. I'll explain what this dichotomy is all about. First of all, physical and human geography. Okay, so if we talk about the physical and human geography, here मैं जो उसमें लिखा हुआ है, I will explain the difference part first, then I will go into the history of, अगर suppose करो, if I have to write in the examination about the development of physical and human geography history, then how I will be writing. ठीक है. So what is the first of all difference between physical and human geography? So let us take first the case of physical geography. First of all, you must all know, हमने पहले भी बात कर लिया है, that this dichotomy is with respect to the subject matter. Subject matter. Any thing related with app को technical team को बताओ. I am not there to solve that. Subject matter. And if you talk about the subject matter, what we find that physical geography is essentially based upon number of things. Like physical geography, what is the subject matter of physical geography? It is the environment, or I would say physical environment. Focus is on the physical environment study. ठीक है, physical environment, and you know it has number of subparts, whether it is the topography, whether it is the climate, whether it is drainage, whether it is vegetation, whether it is soil, fauna, all those are aspects which we study as a part of physical geography. ठीक है. Now tell me, when it comes to this physical environment, do we find that here same results occur again and again? Yes or no? Are the same results occurring again and again? Like we know that if there is a slope and there is water coming from here, can I say it would always go down slope? Always flows downslope? Obviously yes, this is the case. So same results occur again and again. If the same results are occurring again and again, can I say that there is a possibility of universal laws and generalizations? Can we say that? Here there is a possibility of understanding or discovering the universal laws and generalizations, theories, models. Definitely there is a possibility. And if this is so, tell me which type of approach is most suited for the study of physical geography. Which type of approach is most suited to study physical geography? Can I say the most suited approach is a realist approach? Realist approach is the most suited approach, and that means, can I say, when I am talking about the methodology of study, very clearly scientific methodology is more suited. It is more suited for the study of, or there is possibility of application of scientific methodology in physical geography. ठीक है? Very clearly, if you talk about in physical geography is thus based upon a realistic approach, or it is based upon the idea of environmental determinism. It is essentially based upon the idea of environmental determinism. And environmental determinism, it believes what? That the causes are located in the external sphere. In the external sphere. So causes here are the laws, and if you talk about external sphere here is what? It is the environment. External sphere is the environment. So laws are found in the environment. ठीक है? And if it is based upon environmental determinism, tell me, can I say that it treats humans as just another species? Yes or no? Human beings are not given any special position, they are just another species. So if the scope of geography we are saying that it is human environment relationship, tell me, can I say that here the focus would be on how environment is affecting human, who is just another species, or I can simply replace it with a species. Yes or no? So this means, can I say that the sole focus would become what? The sole focus would become the study of environment and its element. Environment and its elements and their and relationship amongst them, and relationship amongst them. ठीक है? Yes or no? Tell me. So can you basically now understand what is physical geography? If I compare this physical geography with human geography, clearly the subject matter of human geography is what? It is the human beings. Or the human phenomena. Tell me, when it comes to human beings, can we say that there is hardly a chance that same results would be repeated? Yes or no? Can we say that? There is hardly a chance that the same results would be repeated. Suppose if same person, even if we study, it is not necessary that he is doing the thing. Suppose he is going to buy something from nearby shop. Okay? From the nearby shop. Next day, suppose he is going to again to that shop to buy something, or same thing suppose. Maybe in between he would have learned new things. So you cannot say that it is the same activity. It is the same result. Maybe his purpose were different when next time he was going. He was going to the shop to buy something else, or because of some other reason he went to the shop, or he was going somewhere and he just visited the shop. Maybe yesterday when he was going he was more free, today when he is going he is less free. So he is in a more hurry. Okay? So here the subject matter is which is constantly very dynamic subject matter. Okay? So human beings are not static, they are very dynamic. And they have what? They are dynamic because they have cognitive powers, mental powers. We have the ability to think, which is unlike the other things which are found, which are physical things which are found. And even we believe that maybe animals also don't have like us cognitive powers. Okay? So the subject matter is highly dynamic. As a result, can I say realistic approach and scientific method are not suited to its study. Ideally not suited, और यहाँ पे ideally भी लिख लो, ideally not suited to its study. ठीक है? Which approach becomes non or anti realistic approach and philosophical methods are ideally more suited to understand the complex human phenomena. To understand the complex human phenomena. Very importantly, we find that human geography is based upon an assumption of philanthropic ह्यूमनिज्म. इसके बारे में मैंने पहले भी बताया. philanthropic humanism which considers humans to be superior species and controllers of their own destiny. Controllers of their own destiny. ठीक है. So very clearly in this case what we find that the subject matter of study becomes what? It becomes the human and environment relationship. The relationship that exists between the human beings and the environment. ठीक है? Can you understand this point? Tell me fast. So here when it comes to the environment, human beings are given a special place. While in physical geography they were just treated as other species. ठीक है? So this is the basic difference between the human and physical geography. So can we sum up this difference? Criteria of difference physical geography and human geography. So there is difference of the subject matter difference. So what is studied here? Environment and its components are studied here. In human geography what we study? The focus is on environment and human relationship. ठीक है. Other things we can further elaborate, इसी को elaborate कर सकते हैं. What are the sub branches? So what are the sub branches? Physical geography we know there is geomorphology where we study the land. There is climatology. There is oceanography or hydrology. There is biogeography, and all these interaction between these elements is studied where? In environmental geography. ठीक है. On the other hand, human geography has several such branches like the geographical thoughts जो अभी हम पढ़ रहे हैं, philosophy. Here there is economic geography, there is population and settlement geography, there is others like cultural geography, there is others like और क्या है political geography, and we can go on. ठीक है. So some important you mention here. Then idea on humans. Idea on humans. So can I say that in case of physical geography, it is guided by environmental determinism. Environmental determinism. And here humans treated as just another species. Here the idea is based upon what? Is there another species and environment relationship as separate concept? That is what you study in ecology, which is part of environment geography. Okay. So here idea on humans, here it is guided by philanthropic humanism, and you can elaborate, अभी मैंने बताया था. So its approach is human centric approach. Then if this is the aspect, ideally, always use this word, ideally suited approach. Here it is realism and here it is anti-realism. Objective, it is subjective approach. Ideally suited methodology. We have seen that here scientific methodology, and here is the philosophical methodology. ठीक है. Are we clear about the difference between physical and human geography? Tell me fast. That is the basic difference between physical and human geography. Then, if I talk about development of the dichotomy between physical and human geography. डाइकोटॉमी और डुअलिज्म दोनों चीजें यूज कर सकते हो. So if we talk about this development, see, बहुत लंबा story है. We have already seen what happened in the Greco-Roman period. We saw that it was present. We saw that it was present in the Arabic period. We saw it was present in the classical period. We saw it was present in the pre-modern period. We saw it was present in the modern period, both German school, French school. Even in America, we saw that there were some who were physical geographers, there were some who were human geographers. ठीक है? So it was always part and parcel of geography. We can keep on going, but मैं इसको divide कर सकता हूँ. So I would say that it has developed in 3 phases. So dichotomy dualism in physical and human geography has developed in 3 phases. So first phase was the phase of phase of dualism. And if you talk about this phase of dualism, it was before quantitative revolution. Then second phase was phase of synthesis. It was during quantitative revolution. And third was phase of dichotomy. Phase of dichotomy, and it was post quantitative revolution. Post quantitative revolution. ठीक है, ये समझ में आया? I'll explain this each one by one, but it has developed in 3 phases. So first there was phase of dualism. So अगर मैं first की बात करूं, can I say that before quantitative revolution, what was the case? Most geographers recognized the difference in the physical and human geography. Physical and human geography with respect to subject matter, approach and methodology. However, can we say, however, almost all of them considered both to be part and parcel of geography. Yes or no? Can you understand why we are calling this period as dualism, period or phase of dualism? There was no dearth of people recognizing the difference, but almost all of them had this very clear view that both of these are part and parcel of geography. ठीक है? So we find that although this dualism was present in Greco-Roman as well as Arab periods, it was brought to limelight by Verenius in classical period. ठीक है? So here I am giving examples of what I have written before. So I start with Verenius. Can I say that Verenius very clearly recognized in his Geographia Generalis, that what was he favored which type of geography? In his Geographia Generalis, he favored physical geography studied as general geography. Why? Because it was static and scientific method could be used. But can we say that despite this assertion, he was clear that human geography studied as special geography was important part of geography. पढ़ा है हमने, ऑलरेडी देखा है, important part of geography. समझ में आ गया? Take another example. Pre-modern period, and in the pre-modern period what we find? Can I say in the pre-modern period there was Humboldt. So Humboldt का example दे सकते हैं? Yes or no? Can we give the example of Humboldt and Ritter? Humboldt was physical geographer. But despite that, do you remember that he wrote regional monographs on Cuba and Mexico? Yes or no? He wrote regional monographs on Cuba and Mexico. Same thing Ritter. Ritter wrote a book Ardh and in his book Ardh he discussed both physical and human geography of continents and subcontinents. Physical and human geography of continents and subcontinents. ठीक है? So we can talk about the pre-modern. We can also talk about the modern period. About the modern period. So tell me, can I say that here there was German geography, which was mostly associated with physical geography, but still what we find here, there were people like Ratzel, and Ratzel in his Anthropogeography volume 1, he has dealt with what? Physical geography, but still he found time to talk about volume 2, where he has talked about the cultural geography. Yes or no? So even within the German school, there was both physical and human geography. Same thing if you talk about the French school. फ्रेंच स्कूल, हमने फ्रेंच स्कूल में देखा था, वेट दिखाता हूँ मैं. Can you remember this person? Like Philip Bosch was there. ठीक है, and you remember this person E. Merton? Yes or no? मैंने specifically बताया था इस बात को कि Merton was the person who, despite the fact that he belonged to the Vidalian tradition, he expressed that physical geography was essential part of geographical studies of an area. So can I say that even in the French school, which was dominated by human geography, there were others like Merton, who studied physical geography. In fact, Vidal himself considered geography as a natural science. अभी देखा था हमने, as a natural. American school, so you can write about American school. Yes or no? ये सब हम पढ़ चुके हैं. So what I'm just trying to say that during this period there were presence of both simultaneously, and although they had difference of opinion, but they never said that the other was totally irrelevant. Can you understand? The difference of opinion was with respect to what to be studied, what approach to be used, what methodology to be used. But they were never against the fact that only one is true. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. So this is the first part where I am showing the phase 1, then phase 2, and phase 2 was phase of dualism, a phase of synthesis. So during this phase, actually what happened, geographers, particularly human geographers, also adopted what? A realist approach by the name of positivism, or better you say logical positivism. By the name of logical positivism. ठीक है, so human geographers also adopted a realist approach by the name of logical positivism. ठीक है, and I'll just quickly tell you what is logical positivism. Logical positivism said that any discipline can achieve the status of science if it adopted scientific where only the directly observable and validated phenomena are included as a part of study. So can you understand what was logical positivism? Basic idea that, see, what was logical positivism idea? That it simply said that even sciences, if you look into the history of the sciences, what was taking place before? Sciences were also indulging in the phenomena which were unknown, which were more imaginary, which could not be validated. You know, for example, geology, geomorphology, people thought that earth was flat, it was on the pillars, resting on the pillars, etc., etc., but it was still part of science. It was still part of the science. ठीक है, so what was the problem at that time? That they were including those type of ideas which could not be validated directly. You cannot measure them, you cannot see them, you can just imagine them, and as a result sciences were, they cannot be called as modern science. But ultimately after the Renaissance period, later on, particularly 17th, 18th century, what happened? Sciences adopted a methodology based on positivism, or the realistic methodology, objective methodologies. and in that only those things were treated as correct and as included as a part of the study which were basically which could be directly researched, directly seen, measured and validated. So what happened? As soon as they adopted this methodology, over a period of time they became objective sciences. They got the status of objective sciences. So logical positivism argued that even that if social sciences also do the same thing, that they leave those type of phenomena which cannot be measured, which cannot be validated, like our values, our experiences, our feelings. If you leave these subjective human phenomena and just focus upon objective realities, then even social sciences would get the status of science. Okay? And do you remember that what had happened in the post Second World War period? We have found that in the post Second World War period, there was a kind of negative attitude towards geography, because geography could not help in the war efforts. Okay? It could not help in the war efforts. And thus, in many universities, geography began to be dropped as a discipline. So, geographers' status became threatened. So, they had to change something, particularly human geographers. So, what they thought, they adopted this approach of logical positivism. And if you remember, इसके बारे में मैंने पहले भी बताया है that human geography adopted logical positivism. Yes, it is realistic approach. अभी ऊपर लिखा तो था मैंने. It is a subset of realistic approach. So, human geography adopted logical positivism. So, if you remember, did we talk about this? That for example, it began to create models, theories and laws. And in this what happened? Human subjective experiences were relegated to background, or simply they were excluded. Background छोड़ दो. They were essentially what? They were excluded from the study. And it is reflective where? It is reflective in assumptions like that human was treated as economic, rational humans, constant demand and supply in space, etc. ठीक है, इस तरह के assumptions करके what they came to, they made several models, theories and laws. So tell me, can I say through this what they were trying to essentially show, can I say through this they tried to dissolve the difference in approach and methodology between human and physical geography. Can you understand what I am saying? एक ही तरह की methodology, realist methodology, scientific methodology, applicable to both physical geography. It was already there in physical geography. Now they tried to show that human geography can also be studied in the same manner. Are we clear about this point? Why we are calling this period as synthesis period? Phase of synthesis. Why we are calling it as phase of synthesis? Okay. So, ultimately what happened? They tried to dissolve the difference in approach and methodology between human and physical sciences, and such attempts to synthesis reached peak in attempts by geographers to create a general systems theory of geography. General systems theory, very important point of geography or in geography. So, what is actually general system theory? General system theory is a mega theory. ठीक है? It is a mega theory, and in this mega theory, what you are trying to do? You are trying to create one law which can be applied in all branches of geography, physical and human. ठीक है? Can you understand what I am saying? For example, they tried to use principles of ecology where in urban geography. Urban geography. ठीक है? We'll talk about later the Chicago school. Similarly, they used the principle of gravity. They created gravity models which were applied to human geography. They created others like distance decay model. They used the principles of geometry in locational analysis. ठीक है? So several such attempts were made where one type of law or model or theory can be used. A very grand theory, when it was attempted, it was done by Chorley. And Chorley, what he did, he tried to form a system theory where he compared river systems and urban systems. एंड बाद में हम इसको बात करेंगे ठीक है, and we will talk about it later on. At this point, just remember that these were the attempts where they were trying to show that how human geography is also like a science. ठीक है, like reverse में देखें तो like he tried to show that, suppose you talk about reverse. So एक river है, main river, then there is a tributary rivers. Here also number of tributaries. ठीक है, similarly there is a big city, below that there may be smaller cities, here below that further so can you understand, like for example अगर इसको बोलूँ मैं first ranking river, this is my second ranking river, this is the third ranking rivers. So here the first ranking city, this is the second ranking city, and these are the third ranking cities. So tell me, can I say rank is inversely proportional to numbers? Can you see that? Yes or no? Tell me. Is the rank inversely proportional to the numbers here? Obviously, दिख रहा है साफ. So can you see one law, and it can be applied to urban systems as well, it can be applied to river systems as well, physical systems as well. So this was a period when geographers tried hard to achieve synthesis between physical and human geography. That is why we called it as the period of synthesis. ठीक है, then comes the third phase, phase of dichotomy. And this is the post quantitative revolution period. So in the phase of dichotomy, what you find that quantitative revolution was based on which approach? Logical positivism approach. ठीक है, it had claimed that logical positivism was what? Was a superior approach. It had claimed that logical positivism was a superior approach. Just wait, what problem is coming? Okay. So it had claimed that logical positivism was a superior approach. ठीक है, but what was the main problem in this approach was that you are not including very important aspect of the human beings. Humans are more about their feelings, humans are more about their emotions, humans beings are more about their values. So what was the negative of this quantitative revolution? The negative feature of it was that humanized geography. It dehumanized geography. Can you understand? Human beings, human geography dehumanized human geography, right? There was no human in human geography because humanness is about values, feelings, emotions, thought process. ठीक है? And as a result of this, as a result, okay, wait, just give me 1 minute. I'll check what is their problem. ये प्रॉब्लम क्या आ रही है इसमें जरा चेक करो. Okay. So I think it is okay now on both sides. Please answer me fast. It was actually issue on my side. There was fluctuation in the internet connection that I have, Airtel, so I switched to the other one. So second one is now working better. Okay. Okay, so I'll start here. So we were talking about that what had happened with geography was dehumanized because of this if you talk about logical positivism school, and as a result we find that there was need to replace QR. Now this was done by humanistic approach in geography. And what humanistic approach did, in fact I'll write full it. Humanistic approach, tell me, suppose someone is claiming that I am like, suppose a government comes and government is saying that our method of development is very superior, we have a better method of development. Okay. Now what the someone who wants to challenge that, what he will do? Someone who wants to challenge it, what he will do? Can I say he must have to prove that the method or the approach is, his method is more superior? Yes or no? His method is superior and the other person's methods are wrong. That is what he has to do. Okay. So if quantitative revolution school was using the logical positivism approach, can I say humanists, to ensure their claim, they needed to bring something equally powerful from opposite branch? Yes or no? From opposite branch. So what they did, they adopted approaches and methods from philosophy. What is opposite of science? It is philosophy. So बाद में देखेंगे what was the method they adopted. They adopted methods like phenomenology and existentialism. Very subjective approaches and methods they adopted into geography, human geography. Now, as a result of this, human geography became highly subjective. ठीक है. human geography became highly subjective. Can you get what I am saying here? Now, as a result, subjective and philosophical, while physical geography remained objective and scientific. So, can I say what would be the outcome of this? Can I say that the gap between physical and human geography would increase? Gap between physical and human geography increased. This gap reached its peak in late 80s and early 90s. And how? With development of postmodern approach in geography. With the development of the postmodern approach in geography, or you can also say human geography. Postmodern approach in human geography. Now, what was this postmodern approach? It claimed that no phenomena is similar to each other. Thus, there was no scope of generalizations. Every phenomena is unique. There cannot be one single human phenomena which is similar to other. So, every human phenomena is unique. Okay, can I say that? Okay, no doubt it is true that all phenomena would be unique, but still, despite that, we can find that there may be some similarities. Tell me. For example, just let me give you one example. We find that there are farmers in Maharashtra who are committing suicide. Yes or no? Can I say that we find similar situations taking place in Gujarat? We find similar situations occurring in Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh. We find similar situations now even occurring in areas like Punjab and Haryana. Punjab has in recent times become hotspot of farmer suicide. So, there can be people who might claim different things. Like for example, you must have heard that one minister of government belonging to the central government, and he was asked about this problem. So, he said that ye faltu ka baat hai, and the thing is that he was asked about a particular incident which occurred in his area. So, he told that it was all nonsense and there was some fight between husband and wife, and as a result husband got depressed and ultimately committed suicide, and they are just making it look like suicide because of the farming issue. Okay, tell me, if we go into the actual causes of this, अगर suppose करो husband wife में भी झगड़ा हुआ था, मान लेते हैं, can I say there must be something economic or something related with the economic factors was there. There was huge level of poverty that they were suffering from. That was the prime cause. It came out in the media and public. So, if these incidents are working everywhere, can I say there must be some general factors which are leading to such incidents, driving such incidents, like government policy? We see today that how much government is against the farming sector. It seems like how much the government's policies are more oriented towards the capitalists. So, we can definitely draw some generalizations. There is no doubt that all phenomena would be unique, but this uniqueness should not restrict ourselves from finding the general patterns, common patterns in them. Okay? So, again, if you just study geography as, इफ़ यू जस्ट स्टडी, देखो मैं अभी इस पर डिबेट नहीं करने जा रहा हूँ कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने क्या कहा और उसने क्या कहा, वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट हियर. जो हम पढ़ रहे हैं उसको समझने की कोशिश करो. सुप्रीम कोर्ट अभी क्या कर रहा है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का खुद का स्टेटस वी नो वेरी वेल. ओके, सो इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द केस हियर, generalizations. So, if there are no generalizations, then if you are just studying uniqueness, can you develop any subject, discipline? Can it ever become a logical discipline? If you are just studying that everybody is unique, it is very difficult. You cannot do so. So, it would become what? Human geography seemed to began to become very illogical. So, because of this, due to this, human geography began to appear very illogical. And as a result, if it is illogical, can I say, if you are, suppose you must have all studied in a school and there was a student in your class who had a very bad reputation, like class का सबसे बिगड़ा हुआ बच्चा, and you are one of the most respected student of the class, teachers के favorite type, and suppose you are hanging on with that person, that bad boy, ultimately in the class during the interval, suppose, and teachers see you, can I say that they would get a bad impression about you? They will tell you कि उसके साथ क्या कर रहा था. ठीक है. So, same thing was felt by the physical geographers, because in geography, one branch of geography, or that branch of geography which has some scientific status, some scientific outlook, it is physical geography. And it was like 90s में ऐसा होने लगा कि they felt like they are ashamed to be part of geography, to be part of human geographers. They felt like there was nothing to gain with these guys. They are all gone cases. So, it was better for our own status, it was better for our, if you talk about future, our career, that we get separated from them, and it was better for them to be more associated with their sister disciplines, like geomorphologists would like to be more associated with geologists, civil engineers, because then their status would be more elevated. ठीक है. So, as a result of all this, what happened? As a result, as we said, the gap between them reached its peak and dangers or threats started developing. Of division of geography into two independent disciplines. Two independent disciplines. ठीक है? Can you understand this point? And if you are understanding this point, can you understand the vision which was displayed by Kant? याद है? The vision which was displayed by Kant so much long period back. He already had predicted that this can happen, and this was about to happen in 1990s. ठीक है? And that is why we are calling this last phase as the phase of dichotomy. ठीक है? Then we can here write about recent developments. Recent developments. So if you talk about the recent developments, we find that recently, and that is we are talking about in late 90s and after, such a probable split has been avoided. And what is the reason? Due to some developments, due to two major developments, in fact. Major developments, and one first major development is emergence of environmentalism as the guiding approach of geography. Environmentalism as a guiding approach of geography. So environmentalism is essentially what? Can I say environmentalism again is about balanced relationship between human and environment. So here what it does, it gives like equal status to both physical and human geography. In fact, you tell me, suppose we are talking about a situation where take this example where IPCC is formulating its assessment reports. Tell me, can I say formulation of assessment reports requires input of both physical and human geographers? Yes or no? Will it require inputs from both physical and human geographers? Yes. सीधी सी बात है. Suppose IPCC is talking about the vulnerability of a particular area to climate change. Now tell me, Can I say the vulnerability would depend upon number of factors? Will it depend upon physical factors? But will it also depend upon the human infrastructure, the resources that area would have? Yes or no? Obviously yes होना चाहिए इसके लिए. Like we do know that one of the continents which would be most severely affected would be Africa, and one of the continents we believe that which would be maybe less severely affected would be the developed countries like North America, because they have more capacity to deal with the problem, they have more resources to deal with the problem. ठीक है. So can I say such studies have brought them together? ठीक है. So that is first. Second, if you talk about is emergence of geography as an applied discipline. So geography in recent times has tried to develop as applied discipline. Now you tell me, for example, if I take this example here first, suppose geographers are studying waste management. They are trying to help in waste management. Tell me, can I say they would need inputs from both physical geography, like for example for physical geography they would require inputs like the dumping sites. So from here number of things like the type of rocks where it would be dumped, drainage, groundwater level, etc. So many things they would require here knowledge. And from human geography they would require number of things like behavior of people. ठीक है. Why so much waste generation? Why people are not managing the waste? Why they are not recycling many things? Like you see today we are talking about in India that so much like advertisements are coming that you put the wet waste in this type of box, dry waste in this box, this color box. You have seen those advertisements, and they are talking about recycling, etc., etc. But if you have to just understand why it is not becoming successful, सीधा सा एक फंडा है. Why it is not becoming successful? Because what is the advantage local people will have? What is the advantage they are getting by doing all this? That they would put wet waste here, dry waste here. They are not getting any advantage. You see there is one area where they are having little economic advantage, and वो कितना उसको सही से करते हैं. Have you seen that कबाड़ी वाला? And how people keep their newspaper, the old newspaper, to ultimately sell it to kabadi wala. Why? Because there is very clear economic advantage they have, and here you are not giving them any economic advantage. So why they will be interested in waste management? Why they will be participatory in your state management? ठीक है. Amit say there are exceptions, depend upon the cultural studies as well. Okay, so some cultures has been taught. So that is basically that is what you have to understand. Behavior, cultural studies. Without that you won't be able to basically understand the waste management. Can I say again, when we are talking about waste management, will the gap between them reduce? Will they be interacting with each other? Yes. So what has happened because of these two developments, because of emergence of environmentalism as the guiding approach and geography becoming trying to become applied discipline, both these branches of geography have come near to each other. Okay? And this has avoided the split which would have taken place in geography. ठीक है. So can you understand now physical geography और human geography के बीच की dichotomy? The dichotomy between physical and human geography. And if you ask me two dichotomies which they can ask any time, it is the possibilism versus determinism dichotomy. One, physical geography versus human geography dichotomy. And the third one is systematic versus regional geography dichotomy, dualism. ठीक है. So दो हमने कर लिए. And the third one, if you talk about, because we are going to now study areal differentiation, and we are going to talk about later on quantitative revolution. So after quantitative revolution is done, I will just sum up that. ठीक है. तो मेरे को बाद में याद दिला देना, because here we are going to study the same things in more detail. Synthesis part felt more like trying to impose physical geography concepts on human geography. Yes, it is true, no doubt. That is the thing we talked about. ना हमने इतने सारे jokes बनाए थे. Do you remember those jokes? You'll understand why they were criticized later on. Do you remember that the geography hunters joke, plus minus 5 minus? So it was more like they were trying to impose things which were unreal. Okay. And that is why they were overthrown, because there was no utility of that. So this is your dichotomy and dualism. Now one thing, while we were talking about this dichotomy and dualism, did you actually learn one thing, that the first 5 classes that we spent in discussion of the general things, did you saw that how important those classes were to ultimately understand the main topics? अगर मैंने वहां पर वो टाइम स्पेंड नहीं किया होता, तो do you think that you would have got all these things which I was directly, अगर मैं सीधे dichotomy dualism से स्टार्ट कर देता, I don't think you would have got what you have got now. ठीक है. That is one. Two, can you also now understand that your concepts are becoming more clear? Lots of dilemmas which were earlier you were actually facing when I was giving those backgrounders, which you were many times unable to understand. Can you now see that how they are getting more and more clear? So as we move in the topics, you will see that almost everything would become a very clear picture. ठीक है. Because अभी भी इसमें मैंने link up किया. For example, I linked with here the QR, and I linked with postmodern geography, because I haven't talked about quantitative revolution and I haven't talked about postmodernism in detail. So still those parts अभी भी थोड़ी सी clarity की कमी होगी. But as we move on to those topics, you will again find that these things that we have studied today, they would become more clear on those days. But what is the fundamental requirement for that? You remember what we have studied before. ठीक है. Okay. So let us move on to our next topic of areal differentiation. एरियल डिफरेंशिएशन, ठीक है। Now, if I talk about areal differentiation, actually this term was coined by Richard Hartshorne. ठीक है। Feynman diagram mentioned in the handout. What is that? Yes, that is the synthesis part. See, geographers have always tried to achieve synthesis. And अगर देखोगे तो have you seen that NCERT? Have you seen this diagram in NCERT? देखा है? So this is basically modified Feynman's diagram. Feynman diagram में कम branches थे. Now there are more branches which are there. ठीक है? So geography इनके बीच में लग रहा है. On one side you must have seen that there is physical geography and on one side there is human geography. And can you see that here geography is a discipline which is bridging human and physical phenomena. ठीक है? It is synthesis between physical and human phenomena. So that is why there the Feynman diagram is mentioned. Okay. So if I talk about Richard Hartshorne had coined this term areal differentiation. But if we look into our syllabus, in our syllabus there is nowhere mentioned in syllabus about regional approach. There is a topic by the name of regional synthesis, but we will see that regional synthesis is a different thing. ठीक है? There is nowhere mentioned regional approach. Instead, what they have mentioned in the syllabus, they have mentioned areal differentiation. ठीक है? Now, if I look into the areal differentiation, which was adopted by Richard Hartshorne, and he actually imported the chorological approach of Alfred Hettner. ठीक है? Hettner, and called it areal differentiation, and simply called it as the areal differentiation. ठीक है? So if we talk about here, he also mentioned various other regional geography approaches. Regional geography approaches were mentioned by him, but for him chorology was areal differentiation. Now, what is actually areal differentiation? Let us see. Suppose there is a area. Suppose this is the area that is present to me. And if I choose a method, ठीक है, suppose I am choosing a method, this is my criteria of regionalization, and on the basis of the criteria, what I did, I identified these 4 regions, ठीक है. So tell me, by adopting a regionalization method, can I say I have differentiated the area concerned into regions separated by clear boundaries. Tell me, yes or no? ठीक है, I have differentiated the area into regions. Now tell me, when I am talking about this criteria, can I say that criteria can be, I suppose I can take any physical criteria, or can I take any human criteria? Like suppose I am taking physiography, or better I am taking topography. I am here taking some things like culture, language, ठीक है. So tell me, can I say that here in this case, physical one, first one, the boundaries, are they like already given? Area is a very general word here we are talking about, Surajit. In the physical one, are the boundaries given? Can I say generally when I am using the physical criteria, it is a manifestation of the objective method of regionalization, or objective view. It is in line with the objective view of regionalization. But here there is no such given boundaries which can be easily identified. ठीक है. Here what is there? Here I will reach to the boundaries basis of similarities. याद है हमने वो मैप वाला सुपर इम्पोज करके one to above the other, the Hettner's approach. Do you remember that? So here the case is subjective view. But can you understand that in both the cases, I will ultimately reach to, suppose we are talking about here, even if I take the objective view or I take the subjective view, in both the cases the output would be what? Areal differentiation. Yes or no? Tell me. Obviously, yes, in both the cases we are reaching to areal differentiation approach. Okay? That means, can I say that we should be treating areal differentiation when we are talking about it can have a narrow meaning, but it can also have a broad meaning. Tell me yes or no. Can it have a narrow meaning and broad meaning? When it is narrowly it is used, it would simply mean what? Hartshorne's approach. Hartshorne's approach. But when it is broadly used, can I say it would essentially mean your regional approach or approaches? Yes or no? This is but obvious here. Okay? So which one I should be taking here? We will study it from this perspective because this would also include this. The broad meaning approach will be using basically. Okay? Where in the questions, what you have to do? In the questions, when the question is coming, you will have to identify, like we did in case of determinism. याद है हमने देखा था narrow and broad meaning. So here also you will have to identify whether the question is specifically asking about Hartshorne's approach or whether the question is broadly asking about the all regional approaches. Okay? So that is what you have to understand here. So अभी तो बताया यार शाश्वत, what is narrow meaning, broad meaning? Like narrow meaning is Hartshorne's approach, broad meaning is सारे approaches, they are all different regional approaches. Many regional approaches अभी देखेंगे हम. They are all in a way areal differentiation approaches. Okay. So that is basically the case of areal differentiation. Now, what is essentially an areal differentiation? You see here, what is the basic conception of areal differentiation? So areal differentiation, it is constitutes the core of geography, which signifies the study of geographical space. It holds that the face of the earth can be marked into areas or regions of distinctive character on the basis of uniqueness of these areas. It studies spatial distribution of physical and human phenomena as they relate to each other and other casually or causally linked phenomena in the regions. It emphasizes that the Earth's surface can be divided into unique areas on the basis of selected criteria. This uniqueness becomes the basis of differentiation of that area or region from the neighboring regions. Okay? So, as we said before, suppose I take the case of India. Okay? And So if I talk about India, if I take the case of suppose physiography, or let me show you this. Can you see? Can you see here that how we have divided India into physiographic divisions? Physiographic divisions. ठीक है? Physiographic divisions. So can you see here? There is one physiographic division by the name of Eastern Ghats. See that? And there is this Western Ghats. There is this Telangana, this Karnataka plateau. This is Deccan. So many of them, these regions are there. Suppose I use essentially criteria, I change the criteria of regionalization and I take the criteria to be language. I take the criteria to be language. Now tell me, will this part of the plains and Western Ghats, which are separate divisions from Karnataka or Southern Deccan part, will they become same as Kannada speaking areas? Similarity would be what? Kannada speaking areas. Here the Eastern Ghats, will it be divided into three main areas: Tamil speaking, Telugu speaking and Odia speaking? Yes or no? And we will see lots of these areas again, they would have Odia speakers, which is the plateau region. So if my criteria is changing, the boundary is also changing. Basically, however, whatever boundary we have drawn, whatever region we have identified, tell me, can we say that there are two things in this? And whatever boundary we have identified of a region, first of all, this region has a clearly defined boundaries. यहाँ पर ये भी लिख सकते हो, और less clearly भी हो सकता है. It is not necessary that always very clear boundaries would be there. So clearly or less clearly defined boundaries. One, within the boundaries, there is uniformity with respect to selected criteria of regionalization. Yes or no? Selected criteria of regionalization. And third, in terms of selected criteria, comma, one region would be different or unique from other regions. Yes or no? One region is different or unique from the other regions. So this is basically what we call it as the areal differentiation or regionalization. Okay, this is what we call it as the region, and identification of such regions is the ultimately task of a geographer. It is the process of regionalization or method of regionalization, and the outcome would be what? The outcome is the areal differentiation. ठीक है, एरिया हैज बीन डिफरेंशिएटेड. इन फैक्ट दिस यूनिकनेस, अगर हम इस यूनिकनेस पे आए तो कैन वी से दैट दिस यूनिकनेस emerges because elements or parts of a region combine together they are combining together in a unique fashion to give unique characteristics. To give unique characteristics. Can you understand what I am saying? Parts are they are linked so differently that it gives out a different outcome. Like you take a case of a family. Now you tell me, in a family there are suppose two brothers, and these two brothers have a very similar type of upbringing. They have same parents, same relatives, ठीक है, but despite this similarity, the time period in which they were born, it was different, and thus their experiences ultimately were what? They were different. ठीक है. So change of one factor ultimately brings out what? Different character. So we can say one is elder, other is smaller, and both of them have different character. Have you seen any brother or sister or any relative or friends which have totally same character? Have you seen anyone like this? Totally same character, fully 100% same character. It is not possible in the human beings. ठीक है. So same thing in case of regions. What are the elements of region? ये जो हमने elements और parts बात किए, कौन से parts हैं होते हैं? Have we seen those elements or parts? Like one was physiography, economic, cultural, political, etc. ठीक है. Thematic mapping is a different thing. Okay, it is a more broader word than regionalization, so don't go into that domain, because thematic mapping can be many types. It is not necessarily thematic mapping would be involved in this. Can you understand, Sonia, what is the difference between thematic mapping and regional approach or areal differentiation approach? ठीक है. So that is basically the case of areal difference. Here parts have combined together to produce a different type of reality. Like take एक दो example देता हूँ. For example, tell me, if I take the case of Amazon, while I take the case of Congo region, tell me, can I say both have equatorial rainforest climate, both have plateau topography, ठीक है, both have tropical rainforest vegetation, both have tribal population, etc. ठीक है, ये भी यहाँ पर भी है, यहाँ पर भी है, यहाँ पर भी, यहाँ पर भी है. Both of them have, but we will see that we will classify Amazon as a separate biogeographic region than the Congo region. ठीक है, we will classify Congo as a part of Ethiopian biogeographic region, while if you talk about Amazon is part of neotropical biogeographic region, neotropical biogeographic region. ठीक है, why बाद में देखेंगे. Main thing is, although physical characteristics, many things are same, but we will be finding that in case of Congo there is different type of animals to be found, many different type of plant species to be found. In case of Amazon there are different type of animals, like for example in Congo you will find the case of old world monkeys are found. In Amazon there is presence of what? New world monkeys. ठीक है, so evolution has taken a separate route in both of them. So although same characteristics, but there is the element of space. ठीक है, ये सारे, can you understand here how they are getting integrated to each other? How? What is the thing which is integrating them to each other? Can you understand what I am saying? Like I am saying that there is lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere. They are being interlinked to each other. ठीक है, similarly यहाँ पर भी there is lithosphere, there is atmosphere, there is hydrosphere and there is biosphere. They are being linked to each other here also. And what is the framework which is interlinking them? Can I say here the framework interlinking them to each other is geographical space? Yes or no? What is linking them together in a particular area? It is geographical space which is linking them. Now, in case of Amazon, it is a different geographical space. In case of Congo, it is a different geographical space. ठीक है, it is a different geographical space. So one factor changing and what is happening? They are linking to produce a unique character and the other one is producing a other unique character. ठीक है, so can you understand on this concept of uniqueness, how this uniqueness is reached? Because the elements combine each other in a unique way. And thus what happens? Regions are characterized by their own uniqueness. ठीक है. So this is basically the basic idea, the conception of areal differentiation. कल इसको आगे बढ़ाएंगे and tomorrow we'll talk about the historical development of the regional approach including the areal differentiation approach. ठीक है. So I'll stop for today. Good night to all of you. We'll again meet tomorrow. टेलीग्राम पे बात करो गीत, नॉट हियर.